Good morning everyone to this slightly cooler than has been, but still what a beautiful day it is and a beautiful temperature, and we're out in the countryside again. And I would just like to say before we start and go on with anything else that I'm sorry if I didn't reply to all the comments on my recent video about when I met that lass and we ended up going all around the countryside whilst she tried to find her mates, because people were saying what a nice man I am, and I find that a bit embarrassing because I don't take compliments very well. I never have done, and I'm just a normal bloke, and I just think we'd all like to, I think we'd all do what I did, every one of us. And I did get a couple of comments saying like, all right, you know, you don't let the right hand know what the left hand's doing, basically saying like you're only doing this to get approbation and people telling you what a good bloke you are. Now I wasn't, it was just a good yarn, and I love a good yarn, I love a good story, everybody loves a good story. And if I get a good story, there's only me and Molly, and if I tell Molly about it, Molly just looks at me like I'm a bit daft because she don't believe me. She understands everything I'm saying, but she just doesn't believe me. Thinks I'm having her on. Anyway, that aside, it's a beautiful day. But it's nice to have interactions like that, isn't it? It's nice to have interactions. When you come across somebody, just having a nice interaction. I'm not talking when you're out in the countryside. It's nice to have nice interactions as well, and I'm not just talking about with human beings or anything like that. I'm talking about having an interaction with everything that's around you, because everything's alive, isn't it? And you're having interactions with it all the time. You're having interactions with the scenery, the grass around you, the smells, the sounds. The wind blowing against your skin is all interactions. If you stand still on a breathless day, you're still having interactions with the ground beneath your feet. And I think a lot of us kind of forget this. We think of ourselves as the centre of the universe. I don't mean us as individuals, I mean us as a species. We think of ourselves as the centre of the universe. We think everything revolves around us. We think everything else is not quite as significant as we are. So we kind of dismiss the countryside around us as something that has been put there for our amusement, when really, when you think about it, the countryside and the landscape and everything has been around a lot longer than we have, and will be here a lot long after we're gone. So perhaps it's the other way around. Perhaps we've been put here for the amusement of the countryside. We spend about 16 hours a day. That's 112 hours a week. That's 5,824 hours a day. That's upwards of 465,000 hours in the average lifespan awake and interacting with the world around us. And like I say, even standing still, we're interacting with the world around us. And that's great. That's great to think that we spend 465,000 hours interacting with the people and the landscape, and that we're just so privileged. And if we are so privileged, why do we spend so much time in negativity? Why do we spend so much time feeling down? Feeling sorry for ourselves, wallowing? Why do we wallow? Why do we waste any time at all feeling down? Because it is waste. And when you've got a finite amount of time here, and that finite amount of time should be spent in positivity, because there's so many people across the world who don't get the privilege to live that lifestyle, don't get the privilege to live more than a few seconds, more than a few months, more than a few years. They don't get that. There's people who live a full lifetime in abject poverty all across the world who have got something to feel negative about. Well, us here in the West, most of us, a lot of us, even though we have the downs, just like everybody else. We usually have a bit of a safety net in society, don't we, to pick us up. So if we spend a mere 2 hours a day feeling negative and down, that is actually 58,000 hours in our lifetime that we've kind of wasted. 58,000 hours. How many people don't get the chance to live 58,000 hours? Many, many millions. And increasing all the time. Those pet owners amongst us are only too aware of how brief life can be. Even a life well spent, a life happy and healthy, compared to ours, which is brief enough, can be very brief indeed. The way we live our lives affects those around us, so it's really incumbent on us to live the best life we can for their sake. My daughter has recently had a tragedy in her mum's side of the family, and it's affected her, a death, and it's affected her, and it's made her consider my mortality. And there's nothing I can do about that, because I'm coming towards the end of a long life. I've been gifted with a long life, and I'm coming towards the end. If I live another 10 years, people will say, by gum, he had a good long life. I'm coming up to 71 now. If I live to 81, people will say, by gum, he had a good long life. And if I get to 81, I will probably be the only person, the only male in our family that's got to that age for generations. So at the moment, even now at my age, it's very unusual. And I do think about this occasionally. And I think, God, I am lucky that I'm still here, and I'm still healthy enough, and I'm still bright enough. And I don't know whether my mind's going, because when your mind goes, a lot of the time you don't realise it. But I think I'm all right. Nobody's told me I'm dribbling yet, but I think I'm okay, and I think I'm well enough to appreciate this, and I appreciate the love of my little dog, and just appreciate the world around us. Get up every morning. I've just been talking to somebody as I got out of the car, a lady that we meet occasionally, and she was saying, and she's older than me, saying, oh, I just wake up every morning, I'm happy, and I look out of the window, and if I see a day like this, that's enough. I'm happy. That is all I need. And yes, obviously, that is probably comes with age, because your expectations are less, your needs are less, the struggle in life is less. But we've all been there. So, you know, yes, of course, when I'm retired, life is somewhat simpler. But as it wasn't always, I had the struggle of bringing up kids and just keeping the bills paid and everything like that. But I've had the privilege to live this long life where I've managed to get through that to the end, where I can retire for a few years. And I hope everybody else gets that, because it's great, and it's what we all deserve, isn't it, after all? When you've worked all your life, you deserve this. So with that, when you're looking forward to that, just make sure that you interact with everything. Make sure you have the best experience you possibly can of your time here, because you never know when it's going to end. And you need to have thought of all those 460,000 days, as many as possible have been spent in positivity. 460,000 hours, not days, but make sure you treat them positively, you get the most out of them, you enjoy them, you get as many experiences as you can out of them. Don't sit and just fret about things and worry about things and worry about tomorrow. I know that it's difficult not to if that's the way your mind works, but try not to. Just try to get as much positivity as you can. And if you are down, and if the life's worrying you, and you manage to get through that into the sunny uplands, Enjoy those sunny uplands while you can, because we need those memories as we get older. Every day we need to look back and think, that was good. I can look back and think, if I knew I was going tomorrow, I'd think, well, that was good. That was great. I've had a great time. What a good life that was. And I'm lucky that I can do that. And that should be the same for everyone. I know it isn't, but it should be. But there's nothing I can do about that. All I can do is try and encourage my fellow man to appreciate all this that's around you. Appreciate your little friends like that. Appreciate your friends in the world. Appreciate every little hobby that you like, every little pastime. Appreciate what you get out of it. And the thing is, the more you appreciate things, the little things in life, that meal that you can, they all build memories. Do you remember when? So you've got loads of do you remember whens filled with joy and good memories and good taste and good smells and good company. I remember when. Do you remember when we did that? Do you remember when we did that? That's what you need, especially as you get older. You just need those, hey, do you remember when? I can remember back. I mean, and there's only me left because all my mates are gone now. But I remember when they were here saying like, yeah, do you remember when we were kids when we did that? Do you remember? How the heck did we get through? How did we get to this age? When we did that and we did that, and then we'd have a good chuckle over it and buy another pint. That's what it's all about. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's all about. Happy memories, positivity, getting the most out of life, trying to get through the negativity that is an inevitability of being a human being on a planet in a society that seems to be geared by the people who want to run our lives and want to run our minds. It seems geared to telling us what we should feel, telling us our emotions should be, telling us where to step, where to spend, what to feel, who to love, who to hate. Who to hate at the other side of the world, because I'm telling you they're bad, because that suits me to tell you that they're bad, so you must hate them. And that's happening all too often at the moment. This is a bit of a ramble, isn't it? Sun's coming out, sun's coming out. It's going to be a grand day. We're going to find somewhere to sit. Somewhere we used to sit against this wall at the side of me in the grass here, but that was a couple of years ago. I think if I got down there now, I wouldn't get up. I'd have to get somebody like pick me up. If I get down that far, I'm not getting up again. They'll find me like a beach whale wallowing about on the floor trying to get up like an upended turtle. My dad, as I've said before, was a wonderful, wonderful man who died way too early. And I'm convinced that a lot of that was because of the pressure he took on. He had a beautiful disposition. He was a happy soul, but he was a soul who couldn't say no. Something that my mum says I'm cursed with. I was going to say blessed with, but cursed with. And he continued, he took on more and more responsibility in the community. And he did, and he did, and he did, and he did. And he got a heart condition, just like I've got a heart condition. I had exactly the same heart attack at 52 that he had at 50, and I survived and he didn't. And I've been quite annoyed about that for 48 years, that he would have been less than 100 now, just, but he might still be here, and he'd have had all this time since I was in my 20s, all this time, that long, long life that I've led in my adulthood, that he would have had. And I put that down to pressure. So don't live under pressure. Or if you do, if you take on the pressure, take on the responsibility, at least kind of even that out by making sure that your interactions are good, that your positivity is positive, your positive time is positive, and it will equal itself out, and the yin will and the yang will work in perfect unison, and you may live a long life and you may live a happy life, and I hope you do. I can't really tell anybody how to live a long and happy life. I got my own experiences, but everybody's experiences are different, and if anybody, any of us, try to tell anyone else how to live a long and happy life, we'd be here for weeks and probably achieve absolutely nothing. So it's up to us as individuals, isn't it? And I think we all know that it's up to us as individuals to find our own way through life, to try to find the best way through life rather than searching out a negative path through life. And there seem to be so many people do that. I'm talking about wallowing. People get so much out of wallowing, out of self-pity. But the only person who's getting any kind of feeling, positive or negative, out of that is you, because society isn't really that bothered. When you moan about how bad and how hard your life is, the rest of the world is probably thinking, get a grip, put your socks up, get on with it. I've got too much going on in my own life to be bothered. And I think that's what we've got to do. We've got to take responsibility. We take responsibility when we grow up for how we live our lives. And I think this is how happy we are in life, or how satisfied we are in life. I think we have to take responsibility for that as well. We have to maximise the good and minimise the bad. There you go. Maximise the good, minimise the bad. Here endeth today's lesson. We shall see you on the flip. Peace and love.